So in the process of taking out this wall here, and what I figure is this area can't really be load bearing because the whole top plate's been all notched out and the bottom plate's not even there, and it got this kind of weird space that had that air return in. And also these joists do land on top of that beam, which we know is, likely carrying all the weight of those ones above. My only real concern is because I know that this wall here is hollow to carry those ducts, and then there's more beam that side. So this two floor joist area are hollow, and I'm kind of concerned that maybe this one, and that third one, because they land on that hollow space, may mean that they actually are using this section of the wall to carry some of that weight above. And so what I was planning to do is just, I got this sort of temporary wall in, I jacked it up into place and propped it up. But I figured, lumber is pretty cheap, and I could probably just beef up these floor joists a bit more, and that'll kind of make it even a bit more confidence in case they did design the house to carry some load here. What I could probably do is just butt up two of these, I think they're 2x8s, might be 2x10s, and do that on the other two as well, and I could just bolt them together or something. So I just started measuring that, and it looks like you need around 15 feet to fully get to the other end of these floor joists that carry that way. And that might be a bit more difficult to fit in the truck, even if they actually have them at the lumber yard. So we'll see what we can find. Otherwise, we may just split it up into two sections, 1 and 2. We'll give it a go. So I was kind of surprised, but they actually do carry the 16 footers. So I've got more of the load hanging outside the box than inside the box, but basically this is what I got going. Got one point pulling that way, one point pulling that way, and then I got a third point kind of just pulling downward. So that's kind of defining a plane. So we'll see how it goes. So yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there when I said lumber was cheap. Each of those 2x10s was 35 bucks, and I got 2 of them. Now we got some PL Premium, need to buy caulk gun, washers, hex nuts, and then 50 carriage bolts or 20 bucks a pack. So I ended up spending 160 bucks just so I can double up these beams here. So we'll see what we can do with this. Hopefully it works. But what I'm thinking now is, after I got back, I really should have had them angled just up and just put some padding or something here, and then had it sticking up over the front of the car instead out the back. That's a bit more sketchy, but I'll keep that in mind next time I'm carrying these 16-foot 2x10s. Alright, so I want to take down this wall here and over here so I can get a better look up inside there and see kind of how this sort of section between the two beams works, because I'm curious, if it isn't supposed to be load bearing, how they've got these floor joists able to be split onto separate ones, because that half of the house, it's still resting, or still got weight on that one floor joist. But if my theory that nothing in here is load bearing, then how is that possible? So maybe it's just resting, they got a stud right below, and so maybe it actually is load bearing. I don't know, let's have a look. So I had to stop here to get a close-up of this one. Basically, whoever replaced this outlet, they decided, I guess, I don't know, maybe they ran out of wire or something, but they've just extended these wires out by electrical taping them all. No barrettes or anything on there. So yeah, that's pretty rough. They've also just opted to use the backstabbing ones, which is kind of frowned upon, I guess, but whatever. So just open this up, and it looks like those two floor joists actually do meet up right on top of this stud here, and it's like a big 2x6. So it probably actually is the load bearing part that is taking the weight of those two sides. Whereas before I kind of was thinking that this hollow section wouldn't have any of these joists running on top for actually carrying the weight, but looks like that's how they've gotten away with splitting this floor joist into the two sections instead of one continuous one. And then same with this one, it still lands on top of this big like jack section for that beam. So I think I just wasted $70 buying those big ass 2x10s to double up those two beams. I do feel a whole lot more comfortable taking this wall out, but just in case, because I already built up the second wall, I'm just gonna jack it up, and we're gonna shim it. Just slowly bring it up. That's the floor cracking, not the upstairs. Jack has got a lot of force pushing down now. Alright, so I can now feel a lot of tension or compression on these studs. So I'm just gonna shim these blocks now and then pull the jack out. Alright, so I've got these shims now in both sides. So it's pretty tight there, but the jack is still taking the weight. So I'll just slowly bring the jack down and let it rest on those shims tightly. Okay, that's down now. So now this should really be, yeah, that's really tight. So that's now holding all the weight up there. That's good. And now that should have relieved any, well, at least a good chunk of whatever weight would have been on this wall. So I should be good to take this one out now. Alright, so just like that, all the kitchen walls out. Didn't look like much when it was up, but it's actually a lot of 2x4s. Not to mention I used a few to make the temporary wall here, so that's a lot of wood. So the thing is, even though, I'm pretty sure, 90% sure this wasn't a load-bearing wall, and I do have this temporary one back in place, when I do take it out, there's a 99% chance, even if it was load-bearing, and there's only, I think, a 10% chance of that, the ceiling probably isn't going to fall down. Even if it was load bearing, it would just potentially be settling over time. So I'm going to take this out for now so it's not in the way. And this is just a case of that 1% 10% chance, and the ceiling just collapses all of a sudden. It'll at least settle down there, and I'll know. But that's pretty unlikely. The more likely thing is there's no issue at all because it's not load bearing, and I didn't need it anyway. Or that it was load bearing and I'm just not going to notice it right away. So we'll take this thing down. Got the jack just set up, so I'm going to jack it back up. That's the floor cracking. Alright, I'm going to pull the shims out now. Okay, that one's still kind of stuck in there. See if I can get something. It's not my fingers to get those out. before it. Okay, floor's about to crack. So we got one block out on that side. Let's see if we can get just the one out on this side. This is good. Ooh. Put that back here. Okay, now we're gonna let the jack down. I'm gonna put just one block under there, so it's just a hair away. Another one there. Now we're gonna set it down. Come on. So we'll take this down really slowly. Oh, a bit fast. I can hear the house settling right now. Okay, bring it back down. Okay. Now, hopefully there isn't... Oh, that's not good. There is weight. Oh, not too much weight. Okay, let's bring it back up. I'm gonna bring it up just a bit and knock these ones out. If it really was load bearing, it probably wouldn't have been able to knock those out, or probably wouldn't have been able to move them so easily when it was up. But knock those off. Now, well, this is kind of sketchy because it's not actually tacked in up there, so this might follow me. So let me just screw it in place up there. All right, so I just toenailed one screw in there so that now I can let the jack down, and it shouldn't. This temporary wall shouldn't fall on top of me. So set this back down. Still feel the house settling. Maybe I shouldn't be underneath it here. I should have the jack on an angle. Okay. There we go. So, house didn't fall. So I'm in the clear for now.